Thank you very much, Secretary General Park, for your time today. I think we're all very excited to get to know the F1 Korean Grand Prix a little bit better.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
It's really exciting to just imagine all the fancy race cars. It's going to be traveling at top speeds around the circuits behind us. Tell us a little bit about the F1, though, what it's about.
Formula One is quite difficult to explain because it involves several factors. But in terms of its concept, it's about cars, advanced technology, huge investment, super speed, and explosive roars of engine, which all stimulate a human instinct for speed. It's a stimulating sport. In practice, it's the pinnacle of auto racing governed by the International Automobile Federation, or FIA. 12 teams with 24 drivers race in 20 regions over one season, from March through November. The driver who accumulates the most points during the season becomes the year's champion.
So very intense, and like you explained, over a certain time span there, but what are the rules exactly for the F1?
Regarding the rules, there are two parts. There are standards for the racing cars, which we commonly refer to as the machines. As the name Formula One suggests, there are formulas or rules. Engines are built in line with the regulations set by FIA. And there are those concerning the drivers, centered around their safety related to the facilities. So every year, FIA or FIA corrects and revises its regulations. Generally speaking, drivers travel laps exceeding 305 kilometers at speeds of up to 350 kilometers per hour in machines of 2,400 cc and 750 horsepower. It's a race with strict rules.
It's very important that we follow such rules because there are lives on the line. But then, in other words, what about some of the things that spectators should be paying special attention to during the races?
A spectator needs to consider multiple aspects of the race to really enjoy it. In particular, by knowing which racer one likes, or the machine, it will be fun to enthusiastically cheer on the racer. Usually there are 12 drivers racing, and the machines are of different colors. For instance, the Ferrari team's machine is red. It has two racers, and if one can differentiate between the two, the race would be a lot of fun to watch. Also, it's widely known where the machines speed up and how fast they should go on which course. The rules call for the use of two specifications of dry weather tire during a race. So one could pay attention to when the dry or wet tires need changing. And it will be great to look out for pit stops for tire changes.
Race cars, they're going to be traveling, like I said, 300 kilometers, maybe even more. And of course, training and of course, stamina, endurance, all of this is so important. Not your average Joe can handle it. So what does it take to be an F1 racer?
As mentioned, the F1 racers drive for more than 300 kilometers each time they set out. So they need to be fit. There's also the know-how of knowing how to approach each course, because the courses are of different levels of difficulty. So without hard training, the racers would struggle. For instance, boys aspiring to become racers would train on karts which they can ride at a young age.
장래 레이서의 꿈을 가지고 있는 분들이 점점 훈련을 받고 그리고
By winning at major competitions and training, one could end up becoming an F1 racer.
F1 대회를 참가할 수 있는 선수가 되는 거고요.
Also, because racers have to drive at a speed of more than 300 kilometers per hour, they need the physical strength to endure all challenges involved. For example, they need the strength to endure the gravitational force 5 times their weight. And they need to work the brakes for 80 to 90 kilometers for about 2 hours.
2시간 동안 움직여야 되는 문제가 있기 때문에 충분한 체력이 없이는
So without stamina, one cannot be a driver. Also, in front of the drivers are panels, dashboards with some 20 buttons that they must operate on their own with great concentration. Otherwise, driving would be very difficult. While driving, they constantly communicate with their staff. And to hone their mental capabilities, they know they need extensive training. So they continue with hard physical and mental training once the official races are over.
So the F1 World Championships, it consists of 20 races, like you mentioned earlier. Now, what is the reason for holding races in such different parts of the world?
The history of F1 has entered its 63rd year. Over the 63 years, it's developed and it's become a race that lasts a season from March until November and tours 15 to 20 regions. In each race, the winner is awarded points and the total score decides the final champion. So the race involves not just one region, but 20 this year. Our race is the 16th this year, and it's being held at our Yeongnam circuit. Here, they'll have to perform their utmost, and continue to, in order to build on their points, since they're all added up. Because each race is important, everyone needs to excel.
And you yourself, you're such a big fan of F1 racing. What would you say is, more specifically, the Korean Grand Prix special charm or attraction?
Korea Grand Prix is unique in many ways. First, for the spectators, their viewing experience is enhanced by the diverse nature of the Korea Grand Prix circuit. In particular, most of the F1 circuits run clockwise, but of the 20, 5 go anti-clockwise. Our circuit is the latter. Also, because our circuit was built recently, we have cutting-edge facilities that greatly appeal to our spectators and racing fans. Being a relatively new circuit, racers need to study its features and understand them properly so that they can strategize accordingly. They need to pay attention to the fact that our circuit runs counterclockwise, which makes it even more challenging. Also, the air in Yeongnam may seem different due to its sea breeze.
By the beach.
Racers need to consider all these factors. The scenery in the region is superb. We have Yeongnam Lake and vast fields around the reclaimed land. Against such beautiful fall backdrop, the race is going to be spectacular.
Korea's history with motorsports, it's actually relatively very short. What is the reasoning behind us trying to push it so much?
Compared to other sports, it does have a short history in South Korea. As you may know, motorsport fans have driven its development since the mid-80s. Around 2005 to 2006, South Jeolla province started mulling plans to develop the sport nationally. It drew up the so-called J Project to build a business hub, the Southwest Coast Leisure and Tourism City on this reclaimed land of Yeongnam and part of Haenam spanning 14 million pyong. But given the difficulty of developing this area all at once, it wanted a pioneer of sorts.
선도 기업으로서 뭘 할 수 있을 것인가를 고민하고 있던 차에 남들이 하는
It didn't want to copy other models because results would be the same and it wouldn't be competitive.
경쟁력 있는 것이 무엇일까 찾다 보니까 모터스포츠다.
While searching for something unique, motorsport came up. And that's how it came to host F1. Of the region's 1.3 million pyeong, the circuit takes up 560,000. On the remaining land, the government recently decided to build an R&D complex related to automobiles and F1 for high-end brands of car parts, starting 2013 through 2016.
그런 연구 개발 단지를 조성하도록 국책 사업으로 채택이 되었습니다. 그래서 이
It's in line with a grand vision that once this region turns into a manufacturer of parts for F1, cars, and motorsports, it could become a mecca of motorsports, create jobs, boost the local economy, and lend itself to the development of the nation. Last year, the previous year, and this year, by hosting the third F1 race, we've seen a jump in the number of motorsport hardcore fans. And we're beginning to see a bright future for this sport.
So it's the 16th one. We're down to the last 5 now out of the 20 total races around the world. I would imagine things are getting a lot more exciting with this race.
Factors that arouse the spectator interest include finding out who wins and whether the winner of one particular region becomes the season's champion, and how the race unfolds. Currently, everything is set and our race should pan out well. The night prior to ours, the Japanese race was held last weekend. Going into it, the season's leader was Spain's Alonso, with Germany's Vettel in second place. Vettel is last season's champion. The gap between the two had narrowed to 29 points. But Alonso was not able to finish his race in Japan. In our lingo, he retired, so Vettel won and gained on him. Now the gap between the first and second place is even narrower. And the race in Korea at Yeongnam could see their rankings change. It could even determine who becomes this year's champion. So spectators who attend this year could be in for some excitement.
So what kind of message then? Let me give you the opportunity to speak to our Insight viewers about a little more about the Korea Grand Prix and especially why we should take a little more interest in it.
Our F1 is holding its third race this year. F1 holds great significance for this region. The region lags behind others, but F1 is designed to help develop it. To this end, various efforts are evident, especially when the race is hosted. This year, preparations have been made to improve and perfect the race itself, and the event appears to have positive tourism and economic impacts. We've also expanded our facilities around the stadium to allow people to mingle more. For example, this year, we're offering a simpler form of motorsport known as karting. Also, we've built a motor camping area which is perfect for any motorsport experience. And by planting grass, we're building venues for people to gather whenever they want, say on weekends, and have fun. In the future, we believe that we will play a crucial role in the development of both South Jeolla province and the motorsport industry. In particular, with the planned construction of an auto parts complex, the region will reap similar economic gains than others have. For other countries, F1 has paved the way for economic advancements and other positive side effects in the industry. Given this, we believe it will lead our South Jeolla province down a similar path.
After speaking with you, it does sound like the Korean Grand Prix. It's not just something for auto racing fans, but something to spread more awareness on Korea, of course. Not to mention even family or friends' time as well to enjoy, right, the attractions in this area. Thank you so much, Secretary General, for your time once again. And we do wish the best of luck to Young-an and, of course, the future Korean Grand Prix.
감사합니다.
Thank you.